Now, I am very excited to bring on stage with me three incredible gentlemen that have been phenomenal to work with as we've grown the state and local business over the past few years. First, I'd like to invite onto stage Damian Lara. Damian is the assessor of Bernalillo County in New Mexico and brings extensive experience in public service, law, and economic development. He has served as a deputy assessor, a legislative attorney, and in several key government roles, and his career spans tax policy, legal advocacy, public administration, in shaping fair and equitable property assessments in the county. Please join me in welcome Damian. Next up, we have Brendan Beatty, the director of the Montana Department of Revenue. Brendan is a fourth-generation Montana cattle rancher and is the director of the Montana DOR. As a University of Montana law graduate, he spent over 25 years as Special Assistant Attorney General, specializing in tax litigation before being appointed director in 2020. A Shelby native, he and his family run their ranch in Petroleum County, raising cattle and hay. Please join me in inviting Brendan. And last but not least, we have Wang, who is the Assistant Assessor County-Clerk Recorder for Riverside County, California. Ken is leading digital transformation at the Assessor's Office to enhance government services and efficiency. In addition to his role in the public sector, he's also a lecturer at the University of California, Riverside School of Business. He holds an MBA and a master's in applied computer science, combining technical expertise with strategic vision to modernize public services. Please join me in welcoming Ken. Excellent. So with that, I wanted to spend the next 20 minutes or so with a panel discussion with these three individuals who will share their insights and thoughts about AI in local and state government and how many other agencies that are thinking about getting into this space can take best advantage of these technologies and tools. And now my first question is for you, Ken. We've often spoke about bringing AI into many agencies, and we've discussed how organizations might often hesitate when adopting this new technology. What's your advice for getting started with AI without getting stuck in the world of analysis paralysis?
That's a very good one. From my experience, I will home in on the term hesitation. I think if you really look at it, hesitation actually is rooted to something that, I'm a project manager by trade, so if you look at project management in IT and technology innovation, it's always about on budget, on time. And the third one we tend to overlook is the on value, right? Why we're doing this project. So it's difficult. Large project, or most of the project, takes multi-years, RFP, contract, and then try to get it live, and then it requires a lot of investment just to find out whether or not we achieve on value. So on time, on budget, on value, I believe is always kind of rooted as the hesitation of why we're afraid of it, right? We don't want to embark on it just to find out if we achieve it. So depending on the study that you look at in the various, I guess, discipline researching the success or failure of project or IT project specifically, I mean, it can be 50-50. So now if I were to say hesitation, that's probably the reason a lot of people are hesitate to embark on such an innovative approach on experimenting technology to make us better. So if we remove that, if you remove on time and make that multi-year down to 3 months, 6 months, you remove on budget, which is fraction of a cost doing a proof of concept as opposed to multi-million-dollar investment. And then on value, where you go in to do proof of concept knowing exactly what you're trying to achieve that's measurable, then there shouldn't be any more hesitation. Right? So that's a very practical way of how I would look at, that's probably the root of why some agencies are hesitant, but hopefully that helps.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. My next question is for you, Damian. Can you talk a little bit about what first inspired you to explore bringing AI to Bernalillo County?
So for us, it really wasn't an inspiration. It was actually quite difficult to convince me. I'll have to thank Ken Scott, my deputy assessor, for bringing this to me. But for us, it really is, that old age saying, necessity is the mother of invention. We have, as property appraisals in Bernalillo County, a daunting task. And most all appraisal jurisdictions have a daunting task to do mass appraisal with limited staff. And for us, it was both a lack of priority, but also a lack of succession planning. In our commercial department of what should be 12 to 15 appraisers, when I came into office, we had 2, right? So for the first 2 years of my administration, I did not do commercial appraisals the way it should have been done. But my predecessor hadn't done commercial appraisals for the past 10 years. And so we were asked to do a task that was impossible, and much like the Qatar Energy, C3AI has enabled us to do a task that was before unachievable. And that was the inspiration for turning to a new tool that creates the value and is a value added for our jurisdiction.
Excellent. Now, beyond commercial appraisal, Damian, can you share some other real-world examples where AI has had an unexpected but significant impact on your department?
Absolutely, and I think the one string that goes across all industries, right, is the repetitive tasks, is the communication and the collection of vast amounts of data that can be put into their fingertips, whether that's for customer service, whether that's for sanitation of appraisal data, and allowing the human value added to ensure that we're providing a much higher service across all of our aspects in our industry. As was mentioned prior, it really has democratized intelligence in our office. We've gone from data entry individuals to really understanding and knowing the values that our properties are generating and being able to spend the time to explain that to our property owners. This really is a tool and not a crutch.
Super. Thank you for that, Damian. My next question is for you, Brendan. And we've talked about this concept of how change is never easy and what change management is like. Can you share a little bit about some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you first took over the Department of Revenue, especially as it relates to the mindset of changing the way it's always been done?
Sure, thank you, Sohaib. First, I need to say how humbling it is to be even in this room with the level of intellect and the quality of the people here. I'm swinging way above my weight class here. But for a kid from the end of a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, Montana, that comes from a traditional ranching family, change is a difficult thing, right? People have laughed when I've said, geez, I'm not sure about that. And they say, that's right, that's because you get on a horse every day for 8 months a year. But change is coming, and change is here. And the biggest challenge I faced when I took over as director of the Montana Department of Revenue was I took over a culture that had evolved into the taxpayer works for us. My opinion was we work for the citizens of the state of Montana. And that is a higher calling and a higher challenge than even customer service, because by definition, a customer has a choice. If they don't want to deal with me, they're kind of stuck. I'm the head of the Department of Revenue. And my people are expected to reflect a higher level of service than customer service. Citizen service is the highest pinnacle. Well, I inherited 16 years of culture that kind of was in the business of raising money rather than treating taxpayers equally and fairly. And that was because of culture driven by the top. I came in and I upended that bucket. And change happens hard, especially in organizations. I don't care if it's an insurance company or state government or in the ranching community. It's all hard. So the biggest challenge was to change that culture. The problem was the culture came with baggage, like duties assigned by the Montana legislature without a budget or the bodies to get it done. Challenge came from embedded leadership that was part of that culture for all those years that resisted that. So we've always done it that way was a thing there. And of course, directors like me were appointed by a governor. I wasn't qualified, and I was appointed by a politician who I'd never met. But historically, the problems were just hidden from those directors, right? How many organizations have you seen, you just put your head down, you wait for the next boss, right? I'm a little thicker-headed than that. So we are hitting that with myself and the leadership team I've put in place to change that. And there is no compromise to ultimate citizen service. And you do it from the top.
Fantastic, fantastic. Do you have some tips and tricks on how to best encourage that culture change?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. You know, it's a matter of leadership, right? If you're gonna lead, and I don't think anybody in this room is not a leader, you're not sitting here because you're not leaders. Mr. Snabe said it best yesterday, you have to know your direction.
Right.
General George Patton said you tell your people why. You listen to your people, and then you make a decision, and then you carry out that decision. Clarity of purpose. Take your principles and never let them go. And what I do, and my people hear it every day, and they'll verify this, is courage and conviction. Don't blink. If you've ever been trapped in a corral with a mad bull, you better not blink. Some gun's coming for you. If you're looking at him, he might think for a second. So never blink. Never let go of that conviction to pursue exactly what your goal is. And regardless of the challenges, commit to overcome them. People are amazing. People will follow leaders incredibly, and they take on the personality of the leadership. I expect that of mine, and I think we can all do that. And as we enter this really brave new world with AI, I'm gonna have to learn to embrace it, and they're gonna go with me. That's how you do that.
I love it. Next question is for you, Ken, and I think you are the master of ROI across the number of engagements that we have embarked on. In a world of limited budgets and competing priorities, how do you justify investment in AI? What is your strongest ROI argument?
So definitely come up a lot. I'm pretty sure everybody encountered this, right? I'm 18 years with the county government. Every time we go to our leadership retreat, training, all that stuff, do more with less, right? That's always the vision every single year from the highest level of our government agency. So when I try to approach and say we need to make investments, when you actually get into it, you get those pushback, right? The budgets are limited, the other department may need that, so we have to reconsider. So this one time, a little short story is, I finally asked a question. I said, let's take a step back. I said, we need to do more with less. What does that actually look like to you? So I asked the person that's kind of challenging about the priority. Long story short, we need to do more, we need to serve, and we need to kind of control our expenditures and hiring and all that. I go, that's fine, those are all goals. What does it actually look like? Actionable. So I explained it to them, right? Obviously, I can't get an answer. So I said, what it looks like to us, to my department and our leadership, is very simple. When somebody decides to retire, that is the moment I can actually live up to do more with less, giving my managers the option not to backfill that position. And the only way I can give my managers and supervisors that opportunity to achieve the ultimate goal is they have the tools that will help them pick up what will be missed in terms of work missing a potential employee. I say that is what action looks like. So if you continue to say we need to strive and do that, I am giving you a way to see how that is actionable. It's literally down on every single day. The minute I don't have such an investment, I don't have such a technology to make them efficient, to give them the power to make that decision, I'm actually feeling doing more with less. And then obviously, everybody would know, right? 70% of our costs that we actually have control as a department is actually labor. So the investment is to achieve that, and as long as we're also very clear about how we envision every single decision that's being made in the next month or year or so, how it gets accumulated up to the return on investment. The rest of the story is very, very easy to articulate. And usually that works because we figure out a way to make it actionable. And then works pretty well.
Indeed it has. Next question for you, Damian. So the ROI argument is strong, but government often doesn't move the quickest, known for bureaucracy and red tape. Despite all of that, you've managed to launch a number of successful AI initiatives at the county. What's your secret to making progress so quickly?
So, like anything, building trust and relationships with those, for Bernalillo County, we're supervised by the county commissioners. They approve our budget. We have to present that. We're evaluated by the state's Department of Revenue that comes in and evaluates us and makes sure we're doing a good job. For us, we are a true government agency that's providing a service to the citizens as well as to all of the taxing authorities. So, when I get in front of my commission, I say we need qualified, well-trained staff, and the question that I get is, what if we spent all this money, time, and training on getting competent, qualified employees, and then they leave? I say, Commissioner, the real question is, what if we don't and they stay? Right? It's very similar with AI. I mentioned before that we had a deficit. We had poor succession planning. We didn't need to wait for retirements. 10 out of our 12 employees decided to retire 6 months before a new administration came in. So we have the silver lining of having to be able to use this tool and learn it together. So once you've established that you're compassionate about serving the citizens and that you're competent about what the work that you're doing, it's easy to gain that trust. And then you actually have to be competent. You have to know whether or not your particular procurement process is through a request for proposals, whether or not you are able to go through sole source procurement, whether or not you can maybe get back off of a different contract that another county has already done and moved forward with. It's grit, tenacity, and just not taking no for an answer. You gotta hit your head against the wall until it breaks, or you get what you need.
Excellent, 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 excellent. My next question for both you, Damian and Ken, what was your biggest aha moment since integrating AI into your agency?
There's a few, but I will share definitely one of them I think will probably benefit the audience a lot. So we did the first pilot 2 years ago. That's the property appraisal one. So that's in production. We're about to put in second POC into production, and we're already on the third and concluding. So it's very transformative for us. Towards the end of the first POC, the aha moment came to me, recognizing that it's not really about appraisal. It's not really about residential property characteristic, AI algorithm, machine learning, tuning, calibration. It was all great. But I think the aha moment as an educator is I took a step back and say, we just experienced a moment of understanding the blueprint of innovation and transformation in 6 months. So I always had a diagram, as Sohaib always knows, I like to draw. So we figured out that if I remove the context and look around the office, as long as I have a group of people that use computer and use information, they open it up, they look up, they do whatever they do, and then they think, right? That's what we're hiring them to do. They put in their professionalism and they do what they do best. And then they will conclude and finish and complete the day. That's it. That pattern, everywhere you walk, in every jurisdiction, in every department of the county, you will see that over and over again. And that sets you up for a potential use case to see how we can augment that group of people. It's not about the context, it's about how this technology is so universal and the approach of how to prove that out in a short amount of time. That led us to, we literally transformed 3 major parts of our division today, and we're probably the first one, I will say, to be achieving that transformative approach in operating our whole department. So that's the aha moment. I think that's the realization, and everywhere I go and everybody I talk to, that blueprint's always in my mind, and I get excited about this stuff, so I can talk all day. But that will just be something that I really feel I walked away from the first engagement, yeah.
Super. And how about you, Damian?
For me, I think it's the partnerships and all of the relationships that C3A has. For us in New Mexico, we're a non-disclosure state, so I don't get sales transfer information from Amazon, who buys a building, or Walmart, who sells their warehouse, or any of those things. And having that information, along with being able to compare MLS data and see the differences between our CAMA data and what's being promoted by a broker or MLL services, and the time savings of that, right, was really the aha moment for me. This really is a value added that, you know, and I've looked far and wide for other solutions, and this is the only product that was able to do, like, again, a daunting task that hadn't been done for 12 years in the past. And so that was really an aha moment for us. The evidence package that we talked about, that again, it really is the summary and putting the democratization of intelligence at your fingertips. That's really was the aha moment for us.
Fantastic. Now, my final question to all of the panelists, fun one. If you could deploy AI anywhere in government tomorrow, where would you apply it and why?
Oh, I get to go first. Great. I better qualify this with my gray hair shows that I was born and in high school during the Terminator and the War Games generation. So, needless to say, I looked at AI for quite a while there with a little bit of trepidation for a number of reasons. One was, of course, the culture you were raised in. Like, I really don't want the Terminator coming for me. But also, you know, fear, right? I'm not a tech guy, trust me. Made a few jokes about I can do a cesarean section on a cow on the end of a rope, but I need my kid to reset my iPhone. But this conference and this C3AI has actually made a convert out of me, honest to God. And so where I see the big benefit to government, because you don't want to lose the people component in government. You start losing the people component in government, you lose any personal connection to your government, and things go wrong badly that way. However, looking at some of these products they have now on taking the menial tasks or the massive data aggregation tasks and analysis tasks to actually allow us to have a higher level of employee. Personal services are the highest expense in my agency at the Montana Department of Revenue. We have 675 employees. If I can actually have fewer, higher paid, higher professional level employees, and have this phenomenal tool doing that stuff, but I still want the connection between the people and the analysis, that human interaction piece. So there's a massive amount of savings we can have. I love the Qatar Energy's line of 100x FTE. I think it's possible with just some of the products that these guys have now. So deploying that across really the baseline, we can reduce government expense hugely and improve the citizen interaction with the people part of state government and any other level of government.
Super. Ken, Damian, any other thoughts?
So I'll be very quick. I think I will look for, using my own blueprint, I'll look for a division or operations that has highest amount of turnover, attrition rate, highest amount of maybe resources, human. It doesn't mean they have to be low-level tasks, right? It just means any division that does, it's kind of expensive to operate in terms of number of people I have, and then the nature of their work. So that's how I will approach it. I will look for those, and immediately, as I see them, which we already did, that will be something that I will see the huge opportunity to immediately explore AI.
Excellent. Would you like to close us out, Damian?
I put it everywhere. I really do think
He's the best customer.
I really do, you know, and I agree. This is a value-added tool. And I view it as such. Much like Qatar, this is not a replacement tool. In our public services, constituent services component, you can get our AI-generated chatbot 24/7. You can email, you can go on our website and chat and type in whatever language that you're able to type in. The chatbot will respond. Zero hallucinations, go forward. But you call our main line, you still get a live person today, right? But what that enables us is, again, you get the complex questions that customer service representative can spend the 10 or 5 minutes needed to explain a much more complex, specific property question to that property owner that they're not having to field of, hey, can you send me the exemption form? Hey, can you do, all of those things, they still take time. If you can deliver that service faster and better through AI, it allows for your better qualified, trained staff to spend the quality time that they need providing the high level of citizen services that government should and has to provide.
Excellent. Phenomenal way to close us out. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, join me in thanking Damian, Brendan, and Ken.